Christine, how much does it hurt the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is out?
It is devastating to the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is out.
Now, I know a lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA to be down. And this tweet from Christine Brennan really stuck out to me. She said, one player gets injured and more than half the TV audience for the entire league disappears. Has any other athlete ever had that kind of impact on a sport? Golf without Tiger definitely dropped precipitously on occasion. But
the WNBA is spiraling into a severe financial crisis, watching its foundation crumble in real time without Caitlin Clark on the floor, a harsh reminder that the league still hasn't grasped the importance of safeguarding the one athlete who single-handedly elevated them from irrelevance into the national conversation. This is a breakdown of how the league keeps sabotaging itself as their biggest draw sits injured and how their unwillingness to confront the obvious is bleeding millions in revenue each day.
And the truth is the truth, and the data is there. And what we saw when Caitlin was out the last time, the 5 games that she missed earlier in the season, the WNBA's viewership dropped more than 50%. Not just the Fever, but the entire league.
In today's world of clickbait headlines and endless online noise, facts are becoming as rare as a full house at a WNBA game without Caitlin Clark. When she went down with a quad injury back on May 24th, the league's over-reliance on her star power was exposed in full view. Now, with a groin injury keeping her sidelined again with no clear timeline for return, we're watching history repeat itself almost play by play.
quad injury jumped to her groin likely because of compensation. But the thing that you have to be careful of is if, say, you try to rush her back from this injury as well, then you're getting into this territory where a very serious injury can happen. That is what the Indiana Fever, that is what Caitlin need to avoid the best that they possibly can. So if it means that Caitlin is out for 3 weeks, if it means that she is out all the way through All-Star, then so be it.
Nationally televised WNBA games took a nosedive, with ratings dropping by an astounding 55%. Games featuring the Indiana Fever lost 53% of their viewership, slipping from an average of 1.81 million fans with Clark in the lineup to just 847,000 without her. And this is where things take a turn from unfortunate to downright absurd, a familiar disaster for a league that refuses to learn from the past.
Clark went down. The WNBA ratings have dropped over 55% across the board.
Hey, guess what, guys?
The league is Caitlin Clark.
The league is Caitlin Clark. She is the WNBA, guys.
Sidelined with a left quad strain May 24th. National TV viewership has plunged since then 55%. Before the injury, the Fever, her team, were averaging 1.81 million viewers, almost 2 million. Since her injury, fewer than 850,000.
While Caitlin Clark was out there electrifying crowds, smashing television records, and injecting serious cash into the sport, the WNBA seemed to be doing nothing. Absolutely nothing to protect their most bankable star. Because apparently, when you have a player contributing to over 26% of your league's financial footprint, the smart move is to let defenders rough her up unchecked and then tell critics it's all just part of the game.
News is alarming for the league, and it's alarming for the league because this is such a crucial year for the WNBA. At the end of this season, the WNBA will go into CBA negotiations. If negotiations go well, then every single player in the WNBA has a much better chance of making so much more in their next contract. And that's one thing when you start thinking about how many people stopped watching when Caitlin Clark got injured. A lot of people stopped watching because they are boycotting the WNBA. They don't want to give viewership to any other teams or any other players, whether they like other players on the team or not, because of how the media and the league itself has handled Caitlin Clark and how they have treated her fans.
What makes this all the more frustrating and, yes, infuriating is that we've seen this scenario play out before. The league's refusal to adapt or protect its marquee talent has already cost it dearly, yet here we are again. It's like watching someone burn their hand on a hot stove, only to do it again a minute later, acting shocked at the outcome.
What's really concerning about this is the fact that we are only a month into the regular season and Caitlin Clark has already been out with 2 injuries. With the first one being her having to miss some time with a left quad strain. Now, of course, this is concerning because if you're already on your second injury, you don't want to be that player that is always hurt. Cough, cough, Embiid, cough, cough, Anthony Davis. So I really do hope that the Fever really sits her out right now for a while, only because you don't want her to have more long-term injuries and be more prone to.
Quick break. If you're finding this eye-opening, don't forget to subscribe. The financial collapse has been swift and brutal. Ticket prices for Indiana Fever games have fallen off a cliff from as high as $860 down to just $250 in some cases. Clark's absence saw the average ticket price across her missed games freefall from $1,370 to $80, a jaw-dropping drop that makes it crystal clear who's actually filling those seats. Games that had been relocated to bigger arenas just to meet the demand for Clark have suddenly found themselves scrambling to fill even half the venue. The highly anticipated Chicago Sky vs. Fever rematch? Tickets plummeted from $210 to just $95. This same matchup previously pulled in 2.25 million viewers, making it one of the most watched games in WNBA history. But with Clark out of the picture, it turns into just another game, one that casual fans barely bother to tune in for.
Jealousy is real. The jealousy is real. You know, this damn dump just can't get out of its own way.
The Indiana Fever are livid. Caitlin Clark is under attack. Fans are outraged. And still, the WNBA stays silent. Referees are calling invisible fouls, ignoring clear contact, and derailing major matchups. From outrageous no-calls to fouls that seem to defy logic, the evidence is piling up. This could go down as the worst officiating stretch in WNBA history. Could this bias in officiating derail the league's brightest young star? And what does it mean for the future of the league if this continues unchecked?
With the controversial ending to the Fever vs. Liberty game, many WNBA fans are calling out the referee problem, and they are demanding answers and they are demanding changes.
Picture this. Your favorite athlete is driving down the lane, weaving through defenders. Obvious contact. Her arm is grabbed, and the officials stay silent. Play moves on, and you think, maybe that one slipped past them, but it keeps happening. Again and again. This isn't just an occasional issue, it's become routine. That's what Caitlin Clark supporters are claiming, and it's why some have started calling WNBA refs chaos gremlins with whistles.
So they start off by sharing that the officiating in the WNBA became as hot button of an issue as any. Heated debates surrounding the league's physicality dominated the headlines, particularly when Indiana Fever star rookie Caitlin Clark was subject to several intentional fouls.
It might sound outlandish, but there's a reason the nickname is catching on. People genuinely believe it fits. The term chaos gremlins paints a picture of referees who aren't enforcing the rules, but rather adding confusion every time they make a call. Or worse, ignore one.
Because there were some suspect calls at the end of that game, and a lot of people felt like the WNBA finals were actually rigged because Kathy Engelbert was also wearing a dress that had the New York City skyline on it, so there was just a bunch of things that seemed kind of fishy.
Caitlin Clark, this isn't about one or two missed whistles. It's entire contests filled with non-calls or fouls that seem to come out of thin air when you review the footage. Fans across social platforms have turned into amateur analysts, breaking down clips frame by frame, trying to understand what the officials are even seeing. And often, it just doesn't make sense.
This past season, many people criticized referees for the amount of physicality that is a part of today's WNBA game, urging officials to better protect players who are subject to hard fouls. But as directly as they may be involved, it's sometimes not entirely their call.
Take one key example. Clark is clearly shoved on an important possession. Everyone saw it except the officials. No whistle. Then, moments later, she's whistled for a foul on the opposite end, even though all she did was position herself on defense. The replay? No contact at all.
The problem that a lot of us have with the referees is it's either very physical and they're calling everything, or they're missing calls. There seems to be inconsistencies in how the referees are calling certain games.
To fans, this isn't just poor refereeing. It feels targeted, like Clark is being singled out. And that's where the controversy really boils. It's not just about missed calls anymore. It's about trust in the game itself. It's no wonder people are comparing WNBA games to low-budget soap operas.
And I know that that was something that was going viral on Twitter when we were talking about the referees who were refereeing the Fever and Liberty game, that one of the referees seems like his only experience was actually refereeing high school games.
If you've ever seen a soap opera, you know how over-the-top the drama can be. That's exactly how these games are starting to feel, as if the officials are more interested in stirring up controversy than ensuring fairness. It's like the refs are improvising their own version of the rulebook. And this chaos isn't just throwing off Clark's rhythm, it's damaging the league's credibility one whistle at a time.